Alright, what's up guys? Here we are with the beta of Thug Life. Now, if you're not familiar with what I'm doing here, if you didn't watch my previous series, Path to Psycho, when I finished it, I did the live stream Q&A like I already did with Thug Life. And then I uploaded a video called the beta of Path to Psycho, which I basically talk about like previous plans and the way I kind of structured the story and the way I kind of just like put it together. Basically, you're going to be getting a little insight of not only how I created Thug Life, and also you're going to be getting stuff like deleted stuff. You're going to be getting like deleted scenes, kind of like stuff that would have happened but it didn't. Stuff that were scrapped from the story. So it's going to be pretty interesting to look at, and if you're a big fan of Thug Life, then you're going to want to tune in for this. So before I get into anything, I'm going to show off my kind of scripting book. This is the book where I script all my SMR stories. I always start off with like a character thing where I write all the characters, and I had a sticky note for stuff I wanted them to say. I wanted them to be all gangster-like. I wanted them to say like gangster words like dog and homie, G. I never ended up committing to it fully because it was kind of cringy and I felt more natural speaking like this. So yeah, you don't see much of that in Thug Life. A little bit though, a little bit. And then all this crap here, all this loose paper and stuff right here, those are ideas, little ideas I have that I write down. And a tip that I took from like, you know, experience through writing stories and film classes and stuff is when you have an idea, always write it down. No matter how bad the idea is, no matter how good, maybe it might be useful to you in another story or later on in the story. Maybe it's a crappy idea like Tony eats chips. Maybe later you can turn that idea into Tony steals chips, right? So you can always build off of crappy ideas into better ideas. So I wrote every single idea down that I've ever had for Thug Life. I used most of them, but some of them are scrapped, and that's what we're gonna be hearing now. Once I got enough ideas together, I developed something called the timeline. This is a new thing I kind of do for stories, and it really helps me understand how it's gonna go. So with Thug Life, it's really messy, but it's basically a timeline. You see boxes connecting with other boxes with arrows, and it basically shows the story from the beginning to the end. It was a way more quicker way to write the story, and I actually kept doing the timeline for the second season of Path to Psycho, so I used the timeline format. Because for Thug Life, I did the timeline, and then I also did this thing where I wrote the story out like this. Basically just words and stuff. I just wrote the entire thing. It was a waste of time. I didn't need to do this, so I just did the timeline and I just got that over with. Anyways, the timeline just keeps going on for pages and pages, and then it ends right there. And there's a lot of X's, which I'm gonna be talking about because a lot of stuff were scrapped. So grab some chips, popcorn, whatever beverage you want to drink, toilet bowl water. We're gonna be diving into the beta of Thug Life, so let's get into it. So to start off, I'm gonna be talking about characters, character kind of stuff that were supposed to be in the story but weren't. Jake was supposed to have a dog named Apollo. Now Apollo was gonna be this brown dog. I've actually teased him before Thug Life even came out when I was just early writing in the story. I'll show a picture up here of an Instagram post I did. Basically, Jake was gonna have a pet dog, and he was gonna be kind of like Chop from GTA. Franklin had a dog named Chop, and it was basically just based off that. The reason Apollo got cut from the entire story is because I didn't know how it was gonna work when it came to like episodes like Gunpoint. Because in Gunpoint, you get all the characters lined up and Xavier's putting guns to their heads. Is the dog gonna be there? Like what? Was Apollo gonna be in First Big Score or the setup? Well, most likely setup. I didn't know how much I would actually use Apollo. Would he come along with the heists or how he would act? Because he's an animal, and I've never actually had a dog, so I can't actually like explain how dogs would act in certain situations. In conclusion, I scrapped Apollo because I didn't exactly know where I was gonna go with him and where he was gonna appear and where he wasn't. Like, was he gonna appear in Legally Screwed where they were going into the house, or again, the heists, Gunpoint, Breathe? I didn't know where to put him. He didn't fit into the story well, so I kind of just got rid of him to make it easier. If it makes you feel any better, the wolf was kind of Apollo in this whole story, so yeah, cool. Also, another brand new character. I didn't have too many characters that were scrapped from Thug Life, but I had this original detective character. Now, this character was gonna be like a detective, and he was like trying to like track down Jake or whatever. I didn't have too much written about him. All I knew was there was gonna be some kind of detective character, and probably if I did add him, it would have added an entire arc to the story. So there would have been the Gators, Agent Swanson, and this detective guy, and probably Thug Life would have went on for like 20 episodes. So maybe an additional 2 episodes, I don't know. But he got scrapped because I didn't care to actually add more effort into this detective character. I added more to Agent Swanson, which gave him more of a purpose than he did before. Also, here's a funny one. So the Phoenix never got scrapped. He's the cool little ninja guy. He was supposed to speak Japanese. So, I thought it was a really cool idea to actually make him speak Japanese. It'd be so cool. The problem was too much Google Translate and just, I don't want to do that. Would have been cool, but he didn't get killed off too early in the story, so I didn't want to go through with the troubles of making someone speak Japanese. Simple as that. Okay, let's get into some plot points, guys. So we're gonna start off with the star. And now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically the hardest part of writing Thug Life, and I swear to God, it was connecting Thug Life to the whole thing where Jake goes into the Super Mario Richie dimension. My God, that was annoying. So basically, in the real Junior, you see Jake pull out this star and he throws it to the ground, then he goes back to his dimension. And I was trying to figure out, like, what the hell? Where did he get that? In the main story, I basically make Iggy give it to him out of nowhere because he's the Dark Twist Iggy and he's a super genius and he's really smart. But originally, Jake and the group were gonna find this star as some kind of treasure, some kind of thing that's worth a lot of money. And the Gators were gonna be like, nah, we don't want you to have that. So the Gators were gonna go after Dakota and try to get that star. The whole reason the Gators don't like Dakota and Dakota don't like the Gators was gonna be because of this star, but I never ended up making that happen because it would have been too complicating. And I also had a similar idea with that same kind of concept where the Gators were after something that Dakota had. I was gonna do that with a time machine. So, you know, Ned made his time machine, which is the way it actually ended up transporting Jake to the alternate dimension, which is the way he got to the SMR universe in the main story. Originally, Ned was gonna obviously still make the time machine, but then the Gators were gonna want the time machine, so they went after Dakota to try to get that. I scrapped it because it was too complicating for the plot and just how the dimension stuff worked. I didn't want too many people to know about it because then everybody would be like, what? Okay, this next one is actually one of my favorite things to talk about. I'm really excited about this. So there's that scene in Thug Life in Breathe where Carly reveals that she was in the Gators the entire time, and I love this scene. It's obviously like, it was really an obvious plot twist, but it was so fun to build up to. It was the biggest plot twist of Thug Life in my opinion. And now I had many ideas for how Jake was gonna react, and obviously the one that the story got was that Jake was forgiving, and then Xavier ended up killing Carly, which traumatized him. But there was an even darker ending to that. So let me get into that. If you guys didn't know, I love dark stories. I love telling stories and just making it completely dark and gruesome and messed up emotionally and mentally because it's fun. I like it. So I had two extra scenarios. So I'm gonna tell you the more chill scenario and then the more extreme scenario. So originally Jake was still gonna get mad. He was gonna actually point his gun at Carly and be like, what the hell, man, why'd you do that? But then eventually he would forgive her and be like, I love you. And then Xavier was gonna kill her. That wasn't gonna change. But here's the darker one. So originally I had this second idea, which I scrapped because it was way too dark. Originally Jake was gonna get so mad at Carly and so broken and just full of distrust and he was not having it. He was gonna shoot Carly himself. Jake was gonna shoot Carly dead in the head himself because he felt so broken and betrayed because Carly lied to him this entire time. He was gonna felt like that entire relationship was just for nothing and it was gonna be super dark. But I didn't end up doing that because it just would have been like, damn. Well, crap. It would have been way too dark, and I didn't feel like it fit Jake's character too much. I feel like if Tony was the main character, he totally should have done that. But that's not how the story goes, is it now? So that was very dark, and I love that. I love looking back at that as an original choice for that thing. I thought it was pretty cool. Okay, this next one is about Travis. Now, I know a lot of you guys didn't like the fact that Travis got killed off early in the story. The main reason I killed Travis off was because if nobody died in Gunpoint, it wouldn't have gave Dakota or anybody in there a reason to hate the Gators. If the Gators were like, yo, give us your money, and they do it, then they'd be like, okay, let's not bother them anymore. But no, Xavier had to kill somebody, so that gave Jake, Tony, and Ned a reason to actually hate these people, so they can go after them and just try to like clash with them. So Travis's death was a very important part of the story for Jake, Tony, and them to hate the Gators and for them to hate each other. So there's conflict and there's a rivalry in the story. Travis had to die in that scene no matter what. Since we're talking about this kind of moment, I want to point out the fact that now that I'm thinking back, I feel like what I should have done for the story is include Antonio right off the bat, and then I should have killed Antonio in Gunpoint and then Travis later, so Travis could have been in the story longer, but oh well. So anyways, what was supposed to originally happen in Gunpoint was Travis actually wasn't supposed to die. There was two different ideas I had, and here's the first one. Travis would have been shot in the leg, and he would have survived, and Jake and Carly would have rushed him home and stopped him from bleeding out, and he would have survived. He would have still been really injured, so he wouldn't have made an appearance in videos like Legally Screwed, and he probably would have been kidnapped around Take Me Back, because that will lead into the second idea. So yeah, Travis would have survived the entire gunpoint phase, and he would have been held back a bit because of his injury to his leg. But here's the next idea I had. So there was this whole arc where Tony was kidnapped by Xavier, and he was held hostage in this garage kind of thing, and the reason that worked so well is because that drove Tony insane, which completed his character arc for him to go insane, betray Dakota, and become the main villain of the end of Thug Life, which I love, by the way. Tony is my favorite character, by the way. But what originally was supposed to happen is, since Travis was already injured, in the episode Take Me Back, Xavier would have kidnapped Travis, and he would have been the one in all those episodes tied up in that chair, being beaten up, being bruised and abused and stuff. He would have been the one being tortured instead of Tony. But the reason that doesn't work out is it doesn't give Tony a reason to go insane. Tony kind of just like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna betray Dakota, be a part of the Gators, and kill Travis. Yes, that was another idea I had. Instead of Tony shooting Antonio, I don't know what I had in store for him at this point. Tony would have came in as Travis, was all kidnapped and stuff, and he would have shot Travis because of the whole mind game Xavier was playing. So yeah, that was really dark, but it ended up not being that way. Travis ended up dying earlier, and Antonio was the one that took his place. To be fair, I wish I could go back and do that original idea where Antonio was killed in gunpoint, and then Travis and Tony were kidnapped, and then Antonio would have been replaced with Travis. So it would have been more intense to watch, but oh well. So we've talked about a lot of deaths, potential deaths that could have happened in the story. Let's back up a bit. This is a really cool idea I had, and that also never ended up happening just cuz. So here it is. It's a really cool idea I had for Jake for the finale. So in the finale, I envisioned this scene before Jake throws the bomb at Xavier and completely kills him and burns him to hell. Xavier was gonna take his gun out and actually shoot Jake through the eyes. So he was gonna shoot through the sunglasses and basically take out one of his eyes, and then Jake would have been wearing an eye patch. It would have been a permanent injury that Jake would have had to suffer after this whole Thug Life series, which would have been really cool, but the reason I didn't include it is because there was already so much pain in this series. I mean, like, come on, man. First, we got Ned taking the bullet, and that's what I replaced it with. Instead of Jake getting shot in the eye, Ned took the bullet. But yeah, there was so much pain and misery through the series. Let's just end it with Jake getting shot in the eye. Hell yeah. I mostly had that idea because I thought it'd be super cool and badass to see Jake with an eye patch or like some kind of like bandage around his eye. It would be cool, like a battle scar or something. But I feel like the cracked sunglasses gave that illusion. All right, so this next kind of idea is going to be surrounding around the wolf. Now, if you guys didn't know, the wolf was kind of just like a symbolic meaning for what Jake was after Thug Life. He was a lone wolf. He was basically alone and isolated, and that would have made more sense with what I'm about to tell you a little bit later. Originally, the wolf was supposed to represent Carly or Apollo. So remember, Apollo's Jake's dog. I never wrote a potential death for Apollo. I don't think Apollo was actually supposed to die, but that wolf would have represented either Apollo or Carly. And the way it would have represented Carly was gonna have this scene where she's like, oh, I love wolves, and then when she died, the wolf would have kind of been Carly's reincarnation. If you don't know what reincarnation is, it's the belief that when you die, you come back as an animal or a new human. So in that case, Carly would have came back to life as that wolf. It's a little cool, like symbolically, but I never ended up confirming that. It's not confirmed. The wolf is just the wolf. The wolf isn't Carly. Another idea with the wolf was if Jake had his dog, Apollo, then in the finale, for some reason, they were gonna go out hunting and kill the wolf. Doesn't make sense because that was an early on idea in the story. But here's a dark analogy. Here's a very dark way to think about it. What if the wolf is Carly? And in this beta version of Thug Life, Jake shoots Carly, so I pick that ending for her. So I decide to make Jake shoot Carly, and then Jake is out hunting with Apollo, and then he shoots the wolf that is also Carly. Jake kills Carly twice, big man. Jesus Christ. So, okay, here's another one. Another thing that was scrapped for the finale, and this was actually like really recently. When I was like filming the finale, I had to pick either Jake steals Agent Swanson's car and drives to the airport in that, or he gets an Uber. I ended up doing the Uber idea because it was way more easier and just more chill of an idea. But yeah, Jake was supposed to steal Agent Swanson's Mercedes and just drive off with it, but it didn't really make sense. It just would have been cool to see Agent Swanson's car again, I guess. I don't know. So now we're gonna talk about the finale. So now we kind of did that with the wolf, but like the actual finale with how the story ends. So originally, all the characters were supposed to die except for Jake. To back that up, if you look at the Thug Life poster, all the characters are a little translucent except for Jake. Jake is fully solid because all the characters were supposed to die. Tony was supposed to get shot in the head. Ned was supposed to die from taking the bullet. Travis died because he died. Apollo died because he died. Xavier blew up. Everybody died. Carly, they're dead. That would have left Jake as the lone wolf. Jake would have 110% been the lone wolf because everyone's dead. The reason I didn't kill everybody off was because after this whole story, getting to know all these characters, I didn't want to leave you guys just like, well, damn, they're all dead except for Jake. I didn't want to leave you guys like that. Sorry, that was my guinea pig. I wanted to leave you guys some hope with these characters. I wanted to keep Ned alive. I know, again, now you understand why Ned probably should have died. I didn't want to kill him off though, because that would have been too many deaths. And I gave you the hope of Tony surviving and doing his own thing out there. And also Jake, obviously. So yeah, it's pretty trippy to think about. All the characters were supposed to die except for Jake. He would have been the last man standing. Now for the actual like finale, like the last couple scenes, Jake was specifically supposed to go to LA with Apollo. They were supposed to kind of go around the town because it's kind of like, it kind of feels like Los Santos from GTA. Again, guys, take into consideration, Thug Life was really highly based off of GTA. So yeah, it would have made sense. And then imagine this finale scene where Jake and his dog Apollo would have been standing in LA, just taking in that fresh air, and they would have been staring at the Hollywood sign. And that would have been the end. Wow. The reason I scrapped that is because we never ended up actually going to California as a vacation. So then basically we went everywhere but California, like Las Vegas. We always go to Las Vegas for some reason. And what, Mexico? I was in Mexico at the time too. So then I decided to make this whole thing where Jake travels the world. He likes to travel the world. So then I did a scene in Mexico and I did a scene in Las Vegas. And I also was able to get in that super awesome penthouse because of my dad's friend. So yeah, that ended up working and it really kicked in the illusion for the rich part of Thug Life. Jake has millions and now he's living it out in a penthouse in Las Vegas. Nice. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much the beta, Path to Psycho, all the different things that were supposed to happen. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any cool ideas that could have made it into Thug Life, then definitely comment it down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me which one was your favorite. I love talking about little things like this, about what was supposed to happen in stories and stuff like that. It's just really fun. It's really fun to think what could have happened to these characters and what would have happened in these different scenarios and plots, because it's cool to look back at. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. More videos coming soon to SMR Stories. I will be having an announcement for the next project I'm working on. I'm pretty sure you know what it is. I think you've heard about it by now. And if you follow me on Instagram, at SuperMyRichie, gotta plug that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Anyways, peace out and see you guys in the next video.